All, let us continue discussion on the STM32 nuclear board. So in this particular video, we will see how to use the printf function to actually help us in debugging or just print any data which we want to see. For example, if you want to receive some data from UART from the external applications like Doclight or something, you might have to know what is being received, right? So we can use a printf to print the data in the console. So for that we use SWV ITM Data Console. So in this particular code, we will see how to enable that. So to start with that, the first thing we need to know is how the printf function works. So basically, printf function works by using one of the low-level function which is part of the syscalls.c. Okay, here whenever a printf function is called, this particular write function is called. Okay, so when you have a HAL data or HAL drivers that are installed, the syscalls will be having ivo underscore put char. Okay, so in order to use the SWV, okay, so we have to actually have a specific code. So for that, we have to use a function called itm underscore send char. So for this, you can go to or you can search in the GitHub itm underscore send underscore data dot c, and you have a feature implemented in this particular function, which actually implements the ITM functionality. Okay, so this ITM functionality is required for us to get the data over the SWO pin, okay, and then print it in the console. So this is the code. You can just copy as is, and this is syscalls.c. As we have printed here, you can just print at the top, okay, in the user code function. Okay, exactly the same thing you can copy here, which actually calls the ITM send char. So that means in the write function, the low level function, we are calling the ITM send char, okay, which is implemented. Now in this case, let us go back to the main. Okay, so we also said we will be receiving some data from the UART which will be printing in the console. Let us assume we are printing a single character. Okay, for that we need a instance of UART, okay, which is actually defined here, and then we also have a character. Let us assume we are receiving character from a serial port and printing it. Okay, we have a character rx data defined. So in the while one, what we are doing is we are using the inbuilt HAL function for UART receive, which actually takes the instance of UART as defined there, and then the rx data, the address of rx data, which basically is the character variable which is defined here, and then we are going to collect byte by byte as we mentioned, and we have a timeout which is defined as 1000. Okay, if a byte is received, we'll actually get out of that particular function, right? So now and then what we are doing is we are using the printf to print that particular function which is received and collected into Rx data in this particular function. So this is how it is implemented. So two steps are done. One is the low level function is written, and also the UART functionality is implemented. So now how to enable the SWV? Okay, in order to enable the SWV, we have to go to window, okay, and we have to go to show view, okay, and here go to other. Okay, once you go to other, you can see a option called SWV. Okay, in the SWV you will have SWV ITM Data Console one. Click on it and click open, so it gets opened here. Okay, So this is how ITM console is opened. Now once it is open, we need to configure a few things, okay, before working on this. So for this, let us first build the code, okay, and here we are going to open the debug function, okay. So in the debug also, so before going to debug, we also need to check if the build functions everything are proper or not, okay. So which looks good, okay. So here once the build is enabled, okay, we can go to the main function. So we have downloaded, okay, let us run into debug function, okay. We are using this, okay. Once this is done, okay, you can okay, now the debug function is done, and go to the SWV ITM Data Console, and you have something called start trace here. So this has to be enabled. Also click on configure trace, ensure that this last port is enabled. This is the particular port which enables the SWO, okay. And also ensure that the core clock here, which is 16 megahertz, is same as the clock that is given, okay. Now let us click OK, and here if we want to start, if we want to collect the data, we have to click on start trace, okay. Now this is enabled, okay. Let us start the, let us run the code, okay. Now let us open doclight, okay. In the doclight, let us clear the old data whatever we have used, and here we are transmitting something called W, okay. As we click on W and we go back, you see here the received data text along with received data is mentioned. Let us change this, for example, M, okay. You can see here M is received. So that means we have used the SWV ITM Data Console to receive the data over UART and print it in that console, okay. uh, so any debugging that you want to do in your code, you can do using this particular process, okay. You can use printfs in any of your code and print in the console to see if the data is received or not. And second thing, in our description of this video, we'll be putting the GitHub link from where you can download the ITM underscore send care function implementation, okay. So thank you.